Good Saturday evening, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all have had a great day today. I sure have. Been a relaxing one. Nothing really to do today, and a lot of model guidance to go over. It was a nice day for me. Hope it's been the same for you. But we've got a lot to cover in today's or this evening's video. I made a video earlier today and went over what we were seeing this morning. I've also said in videos past that Saturday would be the day where we really figure this whole thing out, because it's the last day. We have 12 to 18 hours, and that's it. So we're gonna get right into it here. Like the video if you like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment. Please comment below where you are on this map right here. It would be helpful to know where my viewers are. I've gotten several responses, and I appreciate them. But these videos are getting hundreds of views now, and I would love to know where you guys are watching from. So please do that, and otherwise we're going to get into it here. So this is the national radar that is doing its best to figure out where the snow and other types of precipitation are falling. We can already see the beginnings of moisture down here in the deep south. And it is now, the current time is 6:34 for me, Eastern time. Area of snow showers up here in the upper Midwest, and then a pretty significant looking storm up here in areas of the Northeast and New England. So if you're in any of these areas of snow, let me know down in the comments what you're actually seeing. I'll zoom into this. This is obviously some into areas of Atlantic Canada here, but these values are pretty hefty there. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if it is absolutely puking snow up here. So if you're up here in, say, Fredericton, let me know what you're seeing. It's always nice to back up what we're seeing from our machinery with our actual eyes. So that's nice. But we're going to go ahead and get out of this here. That was just to show you what we currently have going on. And then what I'm going to do is go here. So this is the current warnings, watches and advisories of any kind. This is in the southeast. This is the area I'm covering the most. And I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. There are no more alerts up here in, say, North Carolina and Virginia. This is all we got right now. In this teal color, these are, I believe are they freeze watches? Let's check. Yeah, freeze watches. This dark purple here is winter weather advisories, and we have actually introduced some winter storm warnings in this pink color you see here in areas of south central Georgia. So that's an upgrade. In fact, I don't think we had the majority of this when we made this morning's video. So we've not only included some, but we've included some winter storm warnings, which is a pretty big deal, especially for down here in the south. Although I will say the conditions to get winter storm warnings issued down here is much more lax than it is, say, up in the Northeast, areas in the Midwest. But still, we do have them. They're still there. So this might change. If anything, if I had to guess, I know this is not the right color, we might get some more winter weather advisories up into, say, here. But I honestly think that confidence-wise, they've got this pretty much nailed down. So we're going to get right into it here. This is the 12Z Euro. So this is the latest I have. The 18Z is running somewhere, and I don't have any access to it. But we're just going to look at it briefly here. This is global model guidance, and we're 18 hours out. We don't need to focus too much on this. So this is the latest. Some snow starting to show up here on your screen in areas of, say, about exactly in the middle of Georgia, right in the central areas, and then southern Alabama's got some, and it really is just too warm. The Euro, I mean, the Euro is reliable, and we may wake up on Monday after this event has passed and look back at it and say, yep, it was exactly right. That's possible. I personally don't think it's going to happen like this. I think this is way too warm. I think we're going to have more snow than this. But just for what it's worth, it's still the Euro and it's still global model guidance. This is the total being modeled here from the Euro. So we just have these light accumulations down here of about an inch. right in the areas, I will say, right in the middle of the areas where they have these winter storm warnings. So when it comes to that, the Euro lines up with that all the way down to the Gulf Coast, completely breaks up in South Carolina except for some areas in the central upstate, and then begins to pick up, back up as you get into North Carolina with another maybe jackpot area near Greenville, North Carolina, I believe. I'm not great with cities up there, but regardless, this is well east of Winston-Salem, and uh, so that's about the only city I know up there. We'll move on from that. This is the 18Z I'm going to run this out for you. So this is getting into 7 a.m. Some snow starting to show up on your map here. It starts off as some areas of heavy snow down along the Gulf Coast line and say Mobile, um, Alabama, and we got area of really, really heavy snow making it towards the Florida, Georgia, and Alabama lines here, and it getting all the way into areas of the South Carolina upstate, Atlanta getting some really light snow from this, Charlotte with a little snow shower there. And then this is one reason that this might be a pivotal weather thing, and this might be a GFS thing. I don't know. But this is not going to happen, guys. This is an artifacting issue. I don't. It's going to look smoother than this. It's a shame that it shows up in such a way, but just assume that in general. Well, I can't assume anything. This area here is still showing up on our global model guidance, especially where we have this little area of warm air aloft, and it's keeping it from snowing. It's just rain. So I'm not going to assume that's not there. It's a little bit bold, but you can see where these areas are. Again, don't focus too much on this. But however, I will say the 18 ZGF. Look at some of these totals, guys. Down here, I mean, again, right in the area where they got these winter storm warnings, maybe a little bit too far east. 6 inches of snow. This kind of a cutoff is outrageous. I mean, I can barely move my cursor here, and it goes from 4 to 0 inches. I don't think the cutoff will be that mean. 7 inches in areas of the Florida Panhandle here. 6 inches at least going up through the Florida, Georgia, Alabama lines where they meet here, up through Augusta, getting some areas of the I-20 corridor, and it gets all the way up into the upstate of South Carolina where I live. Some light totals in Atlanta, drops off just before we get to Columbia. And this is exactly because of what we were seeing on the actual run here, where you have this little area of warm air aloft. This could happen. It's hard to tell. I think our global model guidance is overdoing that feature, however. I will say that. So we're going to get into some shorter range, higher resolution guidance here. This is the NAM from a few hours ago, 18Z NAM. So we get to 7 a.m., some light snow showers in central Georgia, far eastern Alabama here, mostly rain everywhere else at this time. And then again, areas of southern central Georgia getting some heavy snow. And the NAM has, at least with this run, I'm not going to say it trended, but this run is just a lot more. There's a lot of moisture here, and it's ticked to the northwest still, but it appears that it's just trended warmer. So who knows if that's accurate or not, but we get an area of a very thin band of snow up into the eastern upstate of South Carolina, all through central North Carolina, and then some lingering snow showers down here in eastern Georgia. Rain everywhere else, and then this really kind of gets going here out of frame, but we see some heavy snow back up here towards Greenville, North Carolina. Greensboro is, I think, close to where all of this heavy snow is, and then it moves on out. How much snow can we expect based on the NAM? We have 2 jackpot areas. The NAM's been doing this consistently, but this is not right. Something about this is not right to me. 2 jackpot areas, like I just said. Some of these totals are higher, but like something about this just doesn't look right to me. I can't really even explain it, but it's not in the areas. I mean, for example, as far as I'm aware, unless I'm just going insane, the areas of those winter storm warnings are in like here. They would not have issued those for totals like this. So just that for what it's worth. Go ahead and get all of this clutter off here. So that's what the NAM is modeling for total snowfall. And then we look at the 21Z HRRR. I will look at the 18Z in a second, but this is the latest run that we have that goes out long enough. And this is the last frame of it. So let's go back a little bit. This is 9Z. It's about 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. I mean, you can do the math here. Is literally, let's see, it'd be 10 hours. 10 hours from right now. It is when this is starting. This gets into 5, so 11 hours away. Snow band in areas of the Gulf Coast, Mobile, Alabama, up through, it's very, very narrow, up through southeast Alabama into west central Georgia here, rain everywhere else. Begins to amplify a little bit. We have more snow in a lot of those same areas I just mentioned, but it's that band is getting wider. So it's including more of Alabama and more of Georgia and a good amount of the Florida Panhandle here. And then the HRRR is not only showing heavy, very heavy snow in areas, but it's also showing some sleet mixing in. So don't let that catch you off guard. This could well happen. And then we continue to move this on in time here. Makes it towards, it's making its way towards Augusta. Let's see, southern areas, southwest areas of Georgia here. And then based on the HRRR, the area where they've got these winter storm warnings, I believe is right in here, and it's nailed it right in the middle of that heaviest snow. And it moves off to the east. This is the last frame we have. So just because I don't want to do this to you guys and not show you the rest of the event, I'm going to pull up the 18Z because it goes out longer, and we're going to run this out the same. So let's see where it does. I think it's very similar. Yeah, it starts off almost exactly the same. A lot of the same. But it completely disappears. The snow completely disappears as soon as it gets to the South Carolina border. This is getting towards lunchtime. Completely fizzles out here. So we have several hours of intense snow in central to southern Georgia and southeast Alabama, as well as the panhandle of Florida. Tallahassee gets some snow from this, but you're really close to that rain-snow line. Moves on out. How much snow can we expect from this? This is the 18Z, so this is the results from what you literally just saw about 10 seconds ago. Very aggressive, very sudden cutoff here up to the north and east, really right along the South Carolina border here. And again, right in this area here where they've got these warnings issued, seems to be a hot spot. 3 to 4 inches. I honestly think that you guys are set for 3 to 4 inches. At least 2 to 3 is what I'm going to say. It's been modeled so consistently that something really different is going to have to happen where you don't get that. So don't get your hopes too high. I know I'm a smaller creator anyway. It's not like the entire world's watching. But still, don't get your hopes too high if you're in that black circle because I just said you're set. But we have generally just very impressive totals all the way down to the Gulf Coast line. We have some snow in Tallahassee. It's very, very close to just being rain. And then back down here all the way to the Gulf Coast line itself. So that's what the HRRR says. And if I'm being honest with you, this doesn't seem outrageous in the slightest. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say areas up here not getting any, and then areas in here not getting any. There's different model solutions. The GFS puts more in that first circle. I'll just label them 1 and 2. But the GFS puts more in 1 and less in 2. But the HRRR says no to either one of them. I mean, we still have model disagreements here. But focusing just on short-range model guidance, the HRRR is pretty consistent with some of the others. Let's look at the NAM 3K. See what it has to tell us here. I'm going to reload this. It appears to be a little bit laggy. There we go. All right, let's run this out here. This is midnight tonight. For me, here in Eastern time, I have 6 hours until this is valid. The NAM is showing more snow in the southern Appalachians. Could happen, southern Appalachian Mountains. And then even some snow showers breaking out in the central upstate in the Greenville-Spartanburg area near where I live. So that's interesting feature to see here. This is 4 a.m., 5, 6, and there we go. Get some snow to develop across areas of southeast Alabama and getting into west central Georgia here. Move this on in time, and just like that, we've got a wider band of snow. It's just growing. This is heavy snow too. This is not pixie dust falling from the sky. These are cotton balls most likely, based on what the NAM is saying, just by the values here. These colors are so dark. And then this is 7 a.m., 8, 9, 10, 11 a.m. So for areas of the I-85 corridor, Atlanta to Charlotte, Charlotte gets some, but it's sporadic and it's generally lighter. Greenville-Spartanburg does not get a whole lot from this. And then areas of central and southern central Georgia just get it. Even the Gulf Coast line, it's not quite as aggressive further south as, say, the HRRR. This is also the NAM. I trust the HRRR more with how it's modeled. Just typically seems to be better. Does throw some snow into central South Carolina here, but it's a very small band, and then it goes away. So forgive me if I forgot to mention your city. And if you don't know where on a map you live, there's not a whole lot I can do to help you. I mean, I can list a bunch of cities, but Augusta here finishes off with some of the snow. I don't know a whole lot of the cities down here, so forgive me for that. And how much does the NAM 3K say? Very similar in footprint, at least, to what the HRRR says. Except it drops the totals off with Southern Extent a little bit, but that's not abnormal. It's a pretty solid footprint of snow down here of 1 to as much as 4 or 5 inches, depending on where you are in this circle I just drew. The areas under those winter storm warnings are somewhere in there, and yeah, they seem to get it down. But with this logic, you would think that why didn't they just do this with the winter storm warnings? Because this is a more aggressive scenario, just like the HRRR is. So who knows? This might end up happening, and they may make more winter storm warnings and push those out. I don't know. Let's see here. So that's all I have for the NAM 3K. Check out the RRFSA model. Again, one of those newer models. But let's see. This is the latest run. Just like the HRRR, I'm going to switch it back. So it starts off as rain everywhere at 4 a.m. So if you wake up at 4 a.m. based on the RRFSA here, you're going to wake up to snow anywhere you see on this map. 5 o'clock, you start to see some snow showers in the areas of the extreme western panhandle of Florida, extreme southern Alabama. And then we suddenly have a narrow but intense band of snow here in southeast Alabama, western Georgia, down to the panhandle of Florida with some sleet mixing in. Further to the south, this band starts to grow, makes its way up towards Atlanta, but I don't think you're going to get it based off of this. And then it starts to move off to the east. So in this frame here, this would be 8 a.m. tomorrow. Some heavy snow showers up in the central upstate of South Carolina here, for example, down through central Georgia. Very heavy band of snow here with some sleet mixing in down to the south. Tallahassee gets narrowly missed, unfortunately, depending on where in the city you are. I'm telling you, that's a mean cutoff for a city like Tallahassee. And then move this off, and that's the last frame we have. So instead of rage baiting you with that, and so you can't figure out the rest, let's show you what the rest is. So here we go. We got it here. This is one run prior. Very similar. Everything is similar about this. This would be 5 a.m. Some snow breaking out in southern Alabama, western Florida panhandle. And then we have the same band of snow setting up, being modeled very consistently here. Although this run puts some more sleet on your map here. So you can see sleet in southern central Georgia. Could happen for sure. Depends on exactly how the atmosphere is modeled. Move this on. Greenville-Spartanburg getting some. Atlanta gets missed. Tallahassee gets narrowly missed. Augusta, you're getting some here. Starting to, but you're close. Areas of central South Carolina get missed. It's not as much of a targeted area of warm air. It's like everywhere around it is just warm. So this is really confined to the south and moves on out. Maybe finishing with some light snow showers in the eastern upstate of South Carolina and southwest Piedmont of North Carolina. I believe I got that right. How much snow based off of the RRFSA? It's one of the more aggressive with totals here and size. So let's dive into this a little bit. Sharp cutoff here from the Gulf coastline all the way up and then back down here. So we have a very impressive footprint of snow here up. I mean, you can see these areas here. It's just such a wide area of just intense snow from near Atlanta, but Atlanta's more like up here. So Atlanta gets missed. Don't know a lot of these cities here. Get down towards Augusta. You're close here, and then you drop back down to the south and west. Some areas of over 6 inches, as far as I know. Yeah, there's 6 inches thereabouts, right in the area where they got those winter storm warnings issued. I mean, literally right in here. So, based on the RRFSA, they got it right. Took our caps to them all the way down through Tallahassee. You guys get so much. You're so close to 0 to 4 inches in like 15 miles is a pretty crazy cutoff. So that's the RFSA. And then this is the same run of the FV3 model that I showed you this morning, but it's the latest run we have. I'll just run over it real quick. We get into 4 a.m. So 4 a.m. we get some snow showers beginning to develop across the southern quarter of Alabama in general. And then it begins to grow in size. And just like that, we get to 5 a.m. and look at this band here. Very intense in areas, especially southeast Alabama, getting targeted with this run. And this is a fantasy run for me too. This is all the way up here into the Greenville-Spartanburg area, delivering hours of heavy snow. Maybe not hours, but a couple hours of pretty heavy snow here. I mean, this is just massive. To try to name all the cities would just be a futile effort here. We have Atlanta getting in on this, but it's light. Upstate of South Carolina is good. West Central North Carolina is good on this run. This is not a forecast. Some snow out actually over the Gulf of Mexico here. So definitely down to the Gulf Coast line. Tallahassee's pretty close. Mobile, Alabama gets some snow here, and then what? We have very, very heavy snow in, say, south, just really south central near like Macon, I believe. That might be a little bit further south, like down here. I don't know, but south central Georgia with some very heavy snow here. Columbia, South Carolina gets it on this run. Orangeburg, Florence is close. Coastal areas miss out, unfortunately, and it moves on out. Totals for this are, as you would expect, pretty widespread and pretty intense, all the way up to my area here, about an inch. Columbia's good here. We went over this earlier. Just because you see 0.3 does not mean that's your total. That's this run, and this is now many hours old of a run. So take this with a grain of salt. And then we have area of heavy snow. Just in general down here, they seem to have kind of nailed it with the winter storm warnings. Although based on this, they would need to extend them. This is just one run though. And then what do we have next? Okay, so that was all of our short range model guidance. So I'm going to show you this real quick. Actually, hold up. I'm going to get out of this. So yeah, I'll show you that in a second. So yeah, here we go. I didn't lose track like I thought I did. So we have, this is mesoscale analysis from the Storm Prediction Center. We looked at this morning. I'm going to go over it really quickly here. This is our 500 millibar pattern, about 3 or 4 miles up, straight above your head here, and this is the winds being plotted, as well as the height. So you can see where our trough is and where ridges are, and all of these features. So you can see this big expansive trough here, flow kind of diving down into, say, Texas, and then screaming out across the southeast and back out over the ocean. And really what I want you to focus on is this little enhanced area right here. That might look tiny, and it is. I mean, this is not like some sort of big system like this area over here is, where you got this big jet streak and you can divide it into quadrants and everything. It's not that. It's really just this little feature down here in West Texas that is their main impetus for our storm system here. It's got to make its way over, but we've still got many hours to do it, and it's moving fast. So that is our storm system. So I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to click on this. This is the Winter Storm Severity Index, WSSI, from the Weather Prediction Center. This was issued at about 3:15 this afternoon. So these do not replicate snow totals. They do not replicate ice totals or sleet totals. this is a severity index or an impacts index pretty much. So you can see down here, limited, minor, moderate, major, and extreme impacts here. So I'm going to pinch this and zoom in, just give you guys a better look. So we'll draw on this a little bit. We have moderate impacts. I believe that's what they are called, right? Yes, moderate impacts. Let's get this centered here. So moderate impacts in areas right where they issued these winter storm warnings, surrounded by minor impacts, and limited impacts surround that. Goes up near where I live, leaves Columbia. You can see this area of warm air being even modeled by this. So that's a shame. It really is, for areas like Florence and Charlotte, Rock Hill kind of getting left here, and Columbia's right in here. And not only do you not even have limited, but most models don't show you getting a whole lot. But this is, just for what it's worth, that's the Winter Storm Severity Index. And then we're also going to switch this. I'm just going to do this on the fly here. I'm going to switch to the forecast here, and I'm going to show you the 48-hour snow forecast from the, this is not the blend of all models. This is what the National Weather Service is calling for. So I'm not going to really zoom or like hover over any of these values here, because this is not as much a model. But what I want you to get from this, South Central Georgia is the hot spot. We need to accept that now and get past that. You have winter storm warnings up. I think you guys are good down here for at least 2 inches of snow. I said this morning, I'll say it again. For our neighbors up to the north, you might be thinking, you might be looking at me like I got crabs walking out of my ears and saying, why on earth do you say that 2 inches is something significant or major? Well, it's not major or significant in the sense that it's going to cripple these people down here. I'm not saying that, but there may well be people inside that black circle you see on your screen that have never seen 2 inches of snow on the ground in their life because they live down here. We don't get snow here often. So this is a big deal for the Southeast. It really is. And you may think that's ridiculous, and I honestly don't. I don't have a problem with that. Areas further to the north would view this and think it's ridiculous. And that's great. But for us down here, it's good enough to make my day. We have areas here of a few to several tenths of an inch all the way up near where I live here. So this is conservative in my opinion. In my honest opinion, I mean, we're 12 hours. I mean, it's 7:01 right now. We're 12 hours out. Exactly. So in my honest opinion, what they're going to do, they might raise these totals, and they might not. I think what we're going to end up seeing is in this circle in general, it's bigger than that. I think we're going to get at least 2 inches. That's what I'm going to say. And if that does not happen, I don't need you to come on here and leave a comment that says I did a terrible job. You can do whatever you want to do, but I don't need you to do that. This is just what I'm thinking is going to happen based on all of the model guidance I just showed you. Most model guidance, especially like, I'll just name a few examples, the RRFSA, the HRRR, and the NAM3K all show heavier totals down here, just in general. Not exactly in that circle. They have more where there's trace values here. So I think, based on what I just saw and based on what I just showed you, because they're the same thing, we're going to have at least an inch down here. As you get further north into this highlighted area here, I think you're going to get more than that. 2 to 3 inches seems to be a good median value here. And then I think that with areas further south, you will get more than 3/10 of an inch or 2/10 of an inch in whatever these cities are here. I think you're going to get more than that. Our model guidance just shows that. Global model guidance at this range is not as helpful. It wasn't designed to be helpful within 24 hours. It's a longer range, a medium range to long range tool. We can still look at it, and we will. I will never not do that because it's still model guidance, and it still has reputable science that backs it up, reputable math and algorithms that go into it to show us what we see. However, that's why these other short range models were developed. So I think we're going to have this circle I just drew be more the highlight area. The real highlight area is going to be down in here somewhere, where we may overperform and get 4 to 6 inches of snow. I think that's high end. I would never sit here and call for 4 to 6 inches of snow, but we saw several runs that did it. So you can't call me crazy for that. Let's see. Let's get these off of your screen here. So that's the southern areas. And what about Atlanta? Few people that live in Atlanta. So that's, for those of you who don't know, generally in that circle right there, that's where Atlanta sits. Areas north, south, east, and west, I think it's like somewhere right in the middle. I hate to break this to you, but it really does not seem like you're going to get a whole lot. You may get trace amounts of snow. I think, honestly, a lot of these areas in like the Greenville-Spartanburg area up to Rock Hill and Charlotte, back down to Atlanta, for example, the I-85 corridor, I think everyone's kind of good to see some snow flying around. I mean, I expect that. I'm going to be really bummed if I don't even see snowflakes tomorrow. I think we're good to see some flakes. I think the question for like the I-85 corridor is not, are we going to get any snow? It's not going to be rain. We're not going to have mixing issues this far north. I don't think. We could trend. We have the overnight model runs that may show us something else. But hey, right now, I don't think we're going to have mixing issues. I think what we're going to struggle with here is more than anything just getting the moisture far enough north in the I-85 corridor. So, I expect to see some snow flying around. I may see really, really big snowflakes too. But I also, at the same time, I don't expect to get really accumulating snow. My local weather, our local news network and their weather team are calling for like trace amounts to half an inch. That lines up with this, roughly. And that it really is. In fact, I know that there are plenty of you that don't live here. In fact, I got a comment from, he's not necessarily a loyal viewer. The channel hasn't been around long enough yet, but from northeastern Oklahoma, as far as I'm aware, north something Oklahoma. I have to look back at the comment. So you can watch a video like this and think, oh, this doesn't matter to me. I'm just watching it for fun. And that's great. I'm glad you're doing that. I'm gonna pull it up here. Yeah, it's already here. So there are several of, it's actually the wrong one. There are several of my viewers that live in what I'm about to show you. I apologize for this. There we go. So this is the Columbia station here. They have a radar down here, and they've got a forecast office. That's the term I'm thinking of. Forecast office in Columbia. Let's go down here and click on their winter weather tab here, and then let's take a look at some of these graphics. This includes most of South Carolina and some areas of Georgia. Let's look at this expected snowfall and make this as reasonably sized as possible. So this was updated about 45 minutes ago, right? So very new information. This is probabilistic. This is what they think is going to happen. Median chances, this is not outrageous, and this is not what they're guaranteeing. This is what they're calling for. 0 to a trace. My house is in this circle. So I'm near the line here of seeing absolutely nothing. This is accumulations. This is not the chance of seeing snowflakes. I'd love to see some snowflakes at the very least. Greenville-Spartanburg area, no, nothing. And as you drop south, some areas down here, I'll just list some of these. Aiken, have a few viewers there. 0 to half an inch is what they're calling for. Augusta, 0 to a trace. It just generally in the black circle here, 0 to half an inch. That's what I would call for if I was these meteorologists. And then I'll click on this. We'll go down here just a little bit. So I don't know these cities. Sylvania, Waynesboro, Thompson, Lincolnton, Athens. You guys are starting to get closer to where these heavier snow totals could be. And you can see them down here. And I was going to say the southern areas of your screen. The bottom areas of your screen. And I don't know why this is so big. It doesn't really matter. This is 0 to an inch, 0 inches to 1 inch. Most of these areas, and this next color right here is 1 to 2. It's 2 to 3 inches in that color. There's Snow Cities. I don't know if I'm going insane or what it is, but I can't find snowfall graphics for these areas down here. I will, just for what it's worth. I know I'm just yapping. Here's NWS Atlanta. That is not it. You know what? I'm just gonna get rid of this. National Weather Service out of Atlanta. I can't find their snowfall graphics like I just showed you for some reason. I don't know if it's just me or what. This is what you're seeing here is the WSSI like I showed you before. This is a closer look here. I'm gonna zoom in of some of these cities that are in this. Americus, Dublin, Macon. You guys are like the outer edges of where these winter storm warnings are right now. This could change. I kind of think it will. I think they might expand these a little bit. So here, this is the best I can do, guys. So I'm not going to look as much at the text. This is going to be blurry because it's zoomed in so much. But you can see it here. And I apologize for all this. Let's make this as big as we can. There we go. So in this purple circle they've already drawn, I'm not going to draw on it as much. They've got, this is where the highest chances are for seeing more snow, and this is where the most snow should fall. Macon 2 to 3 inches here. Dublin 1 to 2 inches. I believe that says Sandersville. I may be wrong. There's a line over it. Less than an inch there. 1 to 2 inches in Americus. 1 to 2 inches in Abbeville. So this dark blue circle you see that I just drew is 2 to 3 inches according to the key. So yeah, that's what they're calling for. However, this is not high. This is not the high end amount. This is, I'm going to go back to it. Let me click on the high end here. So I'm going to do this because I think this is possible. This is high end. Notice what it says. 1 in 10 chance that this will happen, that this on your screen is going to happen right here. So 10%. Columbia good for an inch on the higher end. Greenville, Spartanburg, half an inch across the entire region. As you get down here towards Lincolnton, Thomas, Augusta, Waynesboro, Sylvania, Barnwell, Aiken, Augusta, and Edgefield. And Orangeburg, really. You're good for closer to an inch. And then you get further to the west here. However you say this, you know how to say it if you live here. 2 inches. Sandersville, 1 inch. Now, this color right here that I'm drawing inside of is 2 to 3. This is 3 to 4. This is high end. Now, unfortunately, again, I don't know why I can't find the graphics for down there. So that's the best we can do. But areas further to the south are good for more. Now, this right here, greater than an inch. So an inch is still not a lot of snow, but that's going to accumulate, and that's going to make everything white. This is the percent chance you're going to see that. Hey, I got a 4% chance in my address town here. 4%. I don't really know what to say about this. This is going to bum a lot of people out if you're watching in this area. This is not what anyone wants to see, is it? 8% chance of seeing 1 inch of snow in Columbia. Mostly these are 2 to 10% across this region. As you get further down here, some teens percentage-wise. And then as you get further down here, 20s, 30s, maybe 40s. And so let's be real here. Greater than a tenth. Some higher chances. Most of these areas don't even get 50. Except unless you get further down here. So I'm going to leave it on this. This is a bummer, I know, for probably a lot of people. But I'm going to leave it on. This is updated recently, guys. This is real information. This is from humans. This isn't from a computer that's pumping out random totals every single time. So you can look on this map. You can pause it right here. And you can look around and find your city, or at least a city that's near where you are, and make your own decisions about what you think is going to happen. I don't really have anything better that I can tell you, other than these percentages seem about right. 25% in Columbia, 24%. So there's a 1 in 4 chance you're going to see a tenth of an inch of snow. That's not what anyone wants to see. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news if you hadn't seen this already. But this is very real. This is true information. We found it. Praise the Lord. Okay, now we're going to go over this just briefly. This is probabilistic. This is what they think is going to happen. 2 to 3 inches in this dark color down here. So this is just a slightly zoomed out map here. So here we go. There's those higher values. I'm so glad I found this. Oh my goodness. Let's look at the high end here. So this is exactly why they've put some of these winter weather winter storm warnings here. It's pretty much right in that circle. I think I actually pretty much nailed that. This is high end, 1 to as much as 4 inches. So that's a decent range. This is high end though. You can see the rest of these. Say Rock Hill's 1/2 inch. Florence is trace amounts. So the I-95 corridor in South Carolina is good for trace on the high end. Let's see. Higher values making it towards Columbia, but not to it. 1 inch on the high end. So yeah, that's what I have to tell you. This is the overall graphic. I'm not going to zoom in necessarily as much or click on it, but you can see it here. Percent chance to see a tenth of an inch or more. There's that. An inch or more. There's that. So we're still, notice this. This is 1 inch. We're still not necessarily, I'm going to zoom in to this region right here, making to double into Americas right here. This is where these, I can't think, winter storm warnings are right now. You guys are not even a 50% chance to see 1 inch of snow down here. That's how conditional, that's I think the best word. That's how conditional this threat seems to be. I'm going to leave it on this so you have something pretty to look at while I yap to you. Unfortunately, for most people down here in the Southeast, you have a 9 in 10 chance, 90% or more, you're not going to see any snow. And for the areas that I was talking about that have these higher chances, Macon, Georgia, Dublin, Georgia, Americus, that's where the highest totals. And if you live in those cities or around those cities, I want you to know one thing at least, and that is that I think you're going to see snow, and I honestly think it's going to accumulate. I think you're set for that. If I had to forecast for you, I don't even live down here, the microclimate stuff, I have no idea. Based on model guidance alone, I would tell you you're good for 1.5 inches of snow on the low end. And at the same time, you could get as much as 4 to 6 inches of snow. So that's a lot of snow, especially for Southeast standards. So, if you live in that area, then be grateful you're going to get some accumulating snow. Areas in the upstate, the I-85 corridor, could get accumulating in the sense that it makes the grass slightly wider than it already is. So be grateful if you live in those areas that you're going to get accumulating snow that really matters. You may get a lot more than some models are showing, and I honestly think you're going to get more than they're calling for. They may bump these totals up. So that's all I have for you when it comes to model guidance. There's nothing else for me to show you. And I can't guarantee this is the last video I'm going to make on this, but I'm running out of time. So if anything, I might make one tomorrow morning, but it's very unlikely that church is going to be canceled for me up here in the upstate South Carolina region. So if I do, it'll be out pretty early. So if it is, then tune into that. We'll be going over everything, but it'll just be nowcasting. Not nearly as much model guidance to go over then. So thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one, regardless of when that is.